webinar, and then I will answer them at the end. Or I should say I'll try to answer them at the end, so hopefully I'll be able to. I usually keep the webinars that we do around anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes most. I usually don't go over 20 minutes. I know most people don't have time to go over 20 minutes, and I don't really like to talk more than 20 minutes at a time anyway. So having said that, let's get started. We're going to talk about high deductible F and G Medicare supplements. Focus on G, focus on Plan F, talk about who can still buy F, talk about our accelerated commission program we have with United American. We offer all companies high Fs, but our UA compensation is unique. Briefly talk about the LEAD program, and then briefly talk about Connecture and Sunfire. And like I said, my goal is to keep this between 15 and 20 minutes long. So having said that, a couple new people just came on. If you have questions, please just send them into the webinar, and I will answer them at the end, and I will send a recording of this to everybody that registered. Okay, so let's talk about high deductible G first. So high deductible G became available January 1st, 2020. It works almost the same as high deductible F. Now, for those not familiar with F, I'm going to explain, but I just want to make the comparison. So G is virtually the same as F with one difference, which we'll talk about. So the way a high deductible F or G works is basically all costs not covered by Medicare A and B go towards a deductible, a max out-of-pocket of $2,370. Now, keep in mind, I think the biggest misunderstanding here is people think it's a deductible. So I think they think the first $2,370 of total cost, of just cost, is a true deductible and people pay it, and that's not how it works. What happens is, with a high deductible F or G, Medicare is primary. Medicare covers what they normally would cover. So the normal Medicare cost share, the client is just paying what's left over. So the Medicare cost share, and that they pay that, and that's what goes towards their $2,370. So if you're on a high deductible F, when they go to the doctor, maybe their 20% negotiated rate is $12. They go to the hospital, they got the hospital deductible. Medicare covers their portion. What's left over, the insured pays, and if they get paid in medical costs up to $2,370, then they're done paying for the year. So I just want to make that kind of clear. So really, if you think about this thing, it's like an old school indemnity plan, major medical plan, I should say. 80% coverage, 20% cost share with a max out of pocket of $2,370. Really what it is. High deductible F and G. There is one difference between the two, which I'll talk about in a moment, but that's how it works. All pricing on this is negotiated because with the supplement, Medicare is primary, so your client's only paying the reduced cost, the negotiated Medicare rate for something. They're only paying the cost share on that. So if they go to a doctor, Medicare negotiates the rate for the doctor, and then your client pays 20% of that negotiated rate. Not a lot of money. I'll show you some stats later that show you people rarely hit the $2,370 on these plans. Okay, so G versus F. I was just explaining a high deductible F. So how is high deductible G different? Well, the only difference is with the high deductible G, your client pays their Part B deductible. For 2021, that's $203. They pay that first, and it does not count towards the $2,370 out of pocket. So that's the difference. A high deductible F, all their costs, including the Part B deductible of $203, count towards the $2,370. On a G, they've got a $203 deductible that doesn't count towards their $2,370. That's the biggest difference. So really, their out of pockets, in a way, a little higher than that. It's an extra $203 on the high deductible G. Price-wise, almost identical. In fact, I'll cite, like, for example, Humana and Cigna, who have high deductible F and G plans. Their prices vary by state, but the pricing of the two products are very similar. United American, the prices are identical in most states. So it makes that part pretty easy. So to a certain extent, high deductible F is better by $203 than high deductible G. Other than that, they're identical. So as mentioned in before, who hits the $2,370? Well, not as many people as you would think, because the out-of-pocket by Medicare doesn't add up to much at all. So depending on what they do for a visit. For example, doctors are allowed to bill, whether they're a primary or a specialist, they're allowed to bill between $80 and $100. $100 being on the high end for a specialist. That's the most they're allowed to bill. Medicare covers 80% of that, so your client's only paying 20% of $80 or 20% of $100. So as far as that's concerned, when they go to the doctors, not much is going to, they're not going to have to pay a lot, and not much is going towards their deductible as a result. Same thing, we'll use an MRI as an example. MRIs can be billed for 15, 16, hospital-billed facility, they can be billed for a couple $1,000. Medicare, in most circumstances, for a basic MRI only allows $480. So your client would pay 20% of $480. Again, it's not going to add up to much. Do keep in mind, Medicare Part B has the deductible of $203, so they'll have that deductible first. I get this question a lot, does the deductible recur? Meaning, if you're on an Advantage plan, for example, and you've had some services, and then you move to a supplement, do you pay a Part B deductible? No. Once it's been met, either by the Advantage plan or once you've met it on original Medicare, it's met for the year. So switching from one supplement to another doesn't reset the $203 deductible. Going from supplement to Advantage or Advantage to supplement doesn't reset it either. So, on the Advantage plan, they don't pay an actual deductible, but the internal financing and claims payment takes care of that deductible, so it doesn't recur. When you're on a high deductible F or G plan, the biggest hit, the biggest danger for somebody for a large lump sum is hospital inpatient stays. So, as you know, the Medicare cost share they pay goes towards the out-of-pocket max, but it's small amounts when it comes to doctor's visits, testing, scans. It doesn't add up to much. Hospital does. Inpatient hospital copay for 2021 is $1,484. So if they go in the hospital, that'd be $1,484 that they would owe. It would go towards their out-of-pocket max on their high deductible F or G plan. One quick thing about hospital is, unlike an Advantage plan where you can go in, pay copays, come out for a week, go back in the hospital and pay copays again, it doesn't work like that on original Medicare. On original Medicare, they pay their hospital deductible. That's their benefit period. So if they come out of the hospital and go back in within 60 days, they don't have a new deductible. They've already paid it. If they come out of the hospital for at least 60 days, go back in, they'll have a new deductible. They'd have to pay that until they hit their out-of-pocket max for the high deductible F and G, at which time then they'd be covered for all medical in full. Sometimes you'll get people who want a high deductible F or G, but they will say the hospital part scares them. It gives them a cash flow problem. And you can take care of that with a hospital indemnity plan. We tend to recommend GTL. We work with all of them, though. I like GTL because I think they're pretty locked in with the Medicare population. They've really kind of tweaked their plan to meet the needs for Medicare people and fit in with them. But you can use any indemnity plan. We offer a number of them. But a hospital indemnity plan, you can put that in place. That way, if they do have a big hit for a hospital stay, the indemnity plan can mitigate that, or cut it down at least. Because like I said, remember, the out-of-pocket max, no matter what happens, is $2,370, so their risk is very limited. So we do get some confusion about who can buy a Plan F or High F and G. So the way that works is anybody with Medicare A and B as of 1/1/20, they're eligible to buy a high deductible G plan. Well, because high deductible G came out 1/1/2020. So anybody can get a high deductible G. I kind of worded that awkwardly. High deductible G came out as of January 1st, 2020. Anybody on Medicare now can get it. Okay, so not a problem. The confusion comes on high deductible F, Plan F, and C. So I know there were notices going out saying it's your last opportunity to get a Plan F or a high deductible F. Well, that's only for people that became Medicare eligible on January 1st, 2020 or later. So if somebody became eligible for Medicare 1/1/2020 or later, they cannot get a High F, Plan F, or C. If they were eligible for Medicare prior to that date, though, they can still buy High F, Plan F, or Plan C. If they were eligible, even if they weren't enrolled in Medicare, but they were just eligible, that's all they need, and they can get those plans still. So when we talk about high deductible F and G, United American usually has the lowest rate in most states. I say usually, there's a few states where they might be more expensive by $1 or $2 a month, but their rates are really competitive on high F and G. And they range from price anywhere from $25 a month to $70 a month, depending on the state that you're in. So for those not familiar, why does it make sense to look at a high deductible supplement? Well, it's the math. I used kind of an extreme example here, but let's use New York. Some of these prices have changed, but you'll get the idea. Let's say a Plan F in Westchester County, for example, in New York, is $306 a month. And a high F with United American is $69 a month, which that's the real price. It actually is. And I think the Plan F price I have in there is too low now. I think it's higher. But anyway, so if somebody goes on a Plan F supplement, they're going to pay $306 a month times 12. And so that's $3,672 in premium. Versus somebody on the high F, they're paying $69 a month times 12, so they're only paying $828 for the year. And then even if they max out their deductible, which I'll show you in a minute, the odds are they will not. But even if they maxed their deductible out on the plan, their out-of-pocket max, that only brings you up to $31.98. So worst case scenario on a high F, that person's going to save $500. Now let's say they have a really good year. Maybe they only spend $1,000 in cost share. So they only get $1,000 towards their $2,370. Well, suddenly they save $1,500. So it's all reward and no risk in certain states when you're talking high F or G versus Plan F. It's just better. The math just works better. The math still works on a Plan G. You just make that savings worth by about $203 because of the Part B deductible, but still they win either way. So it makes a lot of sense from a mathematical standpoint. I was referencing earlier about how much people pay in cost share on Medicare A and B on average. So here are some numbers. On average, this is A and B cost share. People on average spend about $800 a year in A and B cost share age 65 to 71, and a little over $900 a year on average for people 71 to 76. So to put it in perspective, your average person, they take a high deductible F or G, they're going to have the tremendously reduced premium, and on average, they're only going to spend an extra $800 or $900 towards the out-of-pocket max. I mean, they're going to win on the math by a long shot. A really interesting stat, this is from United American. They found in their book that less than 5% of the people on high F or high G will actually hit their $2,370 on a yearly basis. So 95 out of 100 people are saving money. In certain states, they're saving even if they hit the $2,370, but in a lot of states, obviously 95% of the people aren't even hitting the out-of-pocket max, and that's just pure savings for them. Using a high F or high G strategy works really well. It's certainly easiest in a guaranteed issue state. So for those who don't know, the guaranteed issue states in the U.S. are New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Maine. Those states are guaranteed issue at all times on supplements. So there's never any underwriting allowed in those states. And there's a high deductible F and G plan available in those states. So it makes it easy. If you bump up against somebody with a Plan F, it's just simply a math equation. You can say to them, you've got a Plan F, you explain to them how the high F or G works. Usually they'll see the value of it. Usually. Some people can't wrap their head around it, but most can. And they'll see the value of it. And in a guaranteed issue state, there is no such thing as election periods for supplements. So you can say to them, let's put you on this plan. By the way, if you don't like it, we'll just move you back on the supplement you had before if you want to go back. And then either way, you get paid for it. So it's really a good strategy. When I used to find somebody with maybe a Plan F or a Plan G, and it was the best priced one in the market, I always would introduce high deductible F or G to them. Again, we'd let them try it out. Most of the time they would stay on it because they saw the savings in it. But if they didn't like it, I'd rewrite them their old supplement, move them back, and I was the broker then. So it works really well in underwritten states. It works, or in non-underwritten states, guaranteed issue states. It also works really well in underwritten states. You can change people whenever you want, but again, there is underwriting. So that can be a hindrance because you got to go through underwriting if you're going to change from one supplement to another. But certainly the strategy is used in underwritten states all the time, and that's the majority of the states. All right, that's a quick overview of F and G. What I'm going to do now is talk about, we have a unique commission schedule with United American. Commissions on Plan F or G, it ranges. It depends on the company, but an average commission is 16%. But for example, if you're getting 16% commission, now some companies like Cigna, for example, they go up to like 25 or 26. But my point is, United American, for example, there's 16% standard commission, and on a $53 a month supplement, well, you can do the math. It's not a lot of money. With a 9-month advance, you're looking at a commission of like $76. So we created with them a unique commission schedule. You're still paid direct by United American. This is not us owning your book. You're paid direct, so you own the book. We just have them paying this commission schedule. Our accelerated contract basically is just front-loading, accelerating the commission payout in the early months. And what it does is it pays out a total of 392% commission in the first 4 months. So I'll use Connecticut as an example. That'd be a compensation if you're selling in Connecticut a high deductible G, which is $52 a month premium. That'd be a compensation of $207.76 in the first 4 months, and about $237 in the first year, and you still get renewals. So you're getting a much higher comp than you would on a standard contract. Because think, using that same example in Connecticut, on a standard commission with UA, you're getting $76 for that sale. On our accelerated, you're getting $237, and you're still getting renewals. Now, the renewals are reduced for a few years, the money United American pays you, but it goes right back to normal once that acceleration kind of evens out. So basically, you're getting the same money overall. You're just getting a lot more of it up front this way. When you apply that to, now if there's a state where United American has a good price on a Plan F, G, or N, well, then you can get incredible commissions with this schedule. Now, there's a lot of states where they are competitive, so it makes it hard. But if you find a state where they are on a regular F, G, or N, they're always going to be super competitive on high deductible G and F, but not always with F, G, or N. But if you find that, the comp schedule is $210 the first month, 70% the second, 30 the third, and 22% the fourth month. So that's basically a comp on a $160 Plan G. That's a comp of $531 in the first 4 months. And then it still pays lifetime renewals at 17%. So it's a really good comp contract. So I mentioned you also get lifetime renewals with United American. A lot of the companies now do pay renewals for a long time. If your companies like your Humanas and Cignas will pay out a level comp for 7 years, then it'll be reduced for years like 8 through 12. And then at year like maybe 15, it goes down to a lower amount, but it still pays lifetime. But with United American, it is level renewals. Like I said, big payouts on Plan F, G, or N. Unfortunately, United American is available in New York at the standard commission level. Our accelerated program isn't available in New York, and I've been told, unfortunately, it never will be. So it's in every other state, but not in New York. In New York, though, we certainly have the product. It just would be a standard commission level. Just wanted to briefly mention our free Medicare lead and marketing program. I'm not going to get into the details. I mean, there really aren't that many anyway, but basically, agents that work with us, they have their Medicare contracts with us as their upline. You're still getting paid direct. You're still getting paid full commission. So we're not paying you. You own the book. But our lead program will reimburse you 100% of your costs for leads or marketing, up to $500 a month for the first 6 months. After that, it's a 50% reimbursement, but still up to $500 paid to you thereafter. It's simply a way where you can buy leads, marketing, seminar costs, anything that's used to generate Medicare sales. And if you have your contracts for Medicare with us, and again, there's no reduction in comp and you're getting paid direct by the carrier, but if you have your contracts with us, you'd be eligible for this program. There's no minimum to start, and you certainly would be eligible. So again, 100%, you can use any lead marketing or any program you want as long as it's for Medicare. We don't care who it is. You just send us your paid receipts, and we provide the monthly reimbursement. Certainly can email you more information on that program. The contract, it's a one-page contract, so you can see there's not a lot of details. But obviously, it's a program that a lot of agents utilize with us to write more business. Brief mention of Connect for Medicare and Sunfire. Connect for Medicare is Connecture. That's the company. So there's two national companies that do online enrollment. So they do online enrollment for Medicare Advantage, Supplement, and Part D. We offer both of them at no cost, so you'd have access to both. They both operate as a CRM. They'll save clients information. You can run drug lists off it, and more importantly, you can enroll people through them. All the carriers from one spot, and you can enroll via email or text. The text function has been being used a lot more recently, but you have both. You can do the enrollment for the client, or you can turn it over to them for them to enroll. And again, it will save your client information. It'll save the drug lists. It'll save doctor lists. So you'd have access to both. You also, with us, would get your own website, which is a Medicare-approved website and a consumer-facing URL. So your clients, it's a site that's an enrollment site that would be personalized to you. Last thing I'll mention is our quote engine. Our quote engine is very useful. It will quote all lines of business, all carriers for Medicare, final expense, term and UL, long-term care. I forgot to put annuities in there. It's a full annuity rate watch quote engine as well. And it'll quote indemnity, dental, and vision. As long as you have one contract with us, you have the ability to use it to quote all lines of business, even if you don't have those lines with us. All right, I think some questions did come in. I'll try to answer them now. If you have any questions after this, though, you can certainly call us at the office, or for contracting, you'd email Lisa at crowasassociates.com or email me. You can see my email at the bottom there. Just be happy to talk to you and answer any questions you might have. So let's see what you got here. Oh, good question. Is there a hospital indemnity plan in New York? There is not one that I take that back. There are a couple. There is not one right now that I'm familiar with that a broker or agent can sell and get commission for it. So it's a great question. We look for them all the time. I haven't looked recently for any, but as it stands right now, there's not one I'm familiar with. GTL doesn't make one available. Heartland doesn't. The big list of carriers really don't have them available. Next question is, how do we access the quote engine? Yeah, great question. You need a username and password. If you've submitted a contract to us, to start getting contracted with carriers, you would then have access to it, and you would simply call us or email us to get the password. We'll give you the username and password. It's your own unique login, and then you can start quoting all the plans you want to quote for all the lines of business. If you want instruction on that, I have webinars on how to use the quote site, just walkthroughs basically, that I'd be happy to send you. It's the only two questions I see. Do we have any other questions? I'll wait here for a minute to see if we do. If not, I would say just to give me a call, or like I said, if contracting questions or questions regarding accessing the quote site, Connect for Medicare, Sunfire, you can email Lisa or call our office and talk to Lisa, and she'll get you set up so you can access those systems. You can access that stuff, though, if you haven't contracted with us. So you got to have at least a few contract with us to get access to it. Looks like that's all we have for questions. I thank you for joining me today. I know it was a brief overview. I wanted to keep this relatively short. So if you have other questions, please give us a call. We're doing a webinar tomorrow on hospital indemnity plans, ironically. And then we usually do these webinars every Wednesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock. This will be recorded, and we will send you a copy of the recording. And then for future reference, if you want to watch one of our webinars, but you can't make it at that time, just register for it, and you'll get the recording. All right, well, appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great day, and thanks for joining me.